Friends, this is what FOMO looks like. Hi, welcome, come on in. My name is Aoife and today I am bringing you all of the books that I would like to read in October, featuring 3 different readathons. I am the human embodiment of FOMO this year. I saw so many people taking part in Spookoplathon last year and I felt a little bit out on the side, mainly because I am not a spooky girl. I am very much a spoopy reader when it comes to spooky season. I like a lot of witchy romances, I like thrillers, I don't like horror, I don't like body gore, anything like that. But I really wanted to take part in Spookoplathon this year, so I put my big girl shoes on and this time I am going to try and take part. I started off my roll with 5 books because I felt like that was something that would be pretty doable considering all of the other readathons that I wanted to take part in, and that hopefully I would be able to combine some of the prompts for those. So let's take a look at how the rolls did and what books I'm going to be doing to fulfill them. There is the board in front of us. I am going to start with 5 books on my TBR because I feel like that is something doable for me when I look back at how my reading has been for the last couple of months. This is going to be my little play piece. It is a tiny little yellow duck. I'm very sorry that it's not purple. I don't have access to any dice at all, so I'm going to be asking my home help to help me to roll some dice. So let's get started with book 1. Roll 2 dice.
I rolled 2 6-sided dice and got 1 and 1.
Immediately a double. Okay, so first of all, 2 is a community shelf. And I already need to add on an extra book. For the first roll, I immediately got a double. So that added another book onto my TBR and it brought me to the space of community shelf. For this one, you can take a couple of prompts and fill a book with that. So I'm going to use it for a Fablen prompt. Fablen is a readathon which is run by Margaret from The Word Nerd, and I am going to be one of the hosts on the Golden Rune. And I have no idea what any of the prompts are going to be. These are all going to be kept secret until they are revealed. So I have no clue what any of the books that I'm going to read are for that, but the community shelf prompt for Spookoplathon is going to be fit in here. For roll number 2, roll 2 dice.
I rolled 2 6-sided dice and got 5 and 6.
Ooh, 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Jason. For my second roll, I got 11, which brought me up to the Jason space. This is one where you have to read a book that has 13 letters in the title, and this one took me quite a while to find a book for. But I eventually found Here We Go Again by Alison Cochrane. This is a road trip romance book, kind of a second chance one, where our 2 main characters used to be really great friends in high school, but now one of their English teachers is dying of cancer and all they wanted to do in their life was do a massive road trip across the USA. So it's the 2 of them, their English teacher, an RV, and they're going to basically take in the width and breadth of the USA. And I feel like this kind of confinement is going to bring them back together. I've read an Alison Cochrane book before. I absolutely loved it, so I have very high hopes for this one. For roll number 3, roll 2 dice.
I rolled 2 6-sided dice and got 6 and 2.
8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pentacle. Then I rolled an 8, which brought me up to the Pentacle space. This is where you have to read a 5-star prediction, and I instantly knew what I wanted to put on here. I am going to go for Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. This is going to be my first ever Riley Sager book, so you might think I'm kind of putting all my eggs in one basket here, going for a 5-star read from somebody I've never read before. But I have got good reason to do so. 2 of my friends have already read Middle of the Night, and both of them absolutely loved it. So I have a feeling if those 2 really enjoyed it, and we have kind of similar tastes when it comes to thrillers, hopefully it's one that I'm going to enjoy as well. Middle of the Night is about 2 friends who go out camping one night, and the following morning, one of them wakes up completely alone in the tent. He has no idea where his best friend has gone, and nobody seems to have seen him in the last couple of hours. About 15 or so years later, he comes back to the small town where he grew up, trying to find answers, but almost ends up leaving with more questions than he arrived. For book 4, roll 2 dice.
I rolled 2 6-sided dice and got 2 and 4.
6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Grady Hendricks. Then I rolled a 6, which brought me to the Grady Hendrix space. Now, for that one, you could have gone with a Grady Hendrix book, and I don't really know if there's any of those that are going to fit into what I enjoy reading. So I'm going to go for the alternative meaning of this, and I'm going to read a book that has humor in it. I am really pushing the boat out with this one because I am going to go for a horror book. I feel like October is just the time to do that. And there's no better author that I think could be my kind of intro to horror than Chuck Tingle. Hear me out. I know that Chuck Tingle has had a lot of kind of out there, kind of weird erotica books, but he's also turned his hand to some really interesting horror books in the last couple of years. He did Camp Damascus, which I've heard some really great things about, but I am going to go for Bury Your Gaze. I know that Not Your Mom's Boozy Book Club with Brie and Cal did this a couple of months back and they really enjoyed it. It is about a Hollywood screenwriter who is finally about to get his canonic gay couple together, except that the executives call him into the room and say that, okay, they can get together, but you have to kill them off. It's kind of the Bury Your Gaze stereotype, and he is vehemently against this. He's going to fight as much as he can to get these people their happy ever after. What he's not expecting is to see all of the characters from his previous works, especially the horror works that he has done, turn up around town in places that he didn't expect them to. I am so intrigued to see what Chuck Tingle is going to be like as an actual bona fide author and not just talking about space raptors fucking on a spaceship. For book number 5, roll 2 dice.
I rolled 2 6-sided dice and got 2 and 3.
5. Spooky. Then I rolled a 5, which brought me up to spooky. Admittedly, I would have preferred if it had gone to spoopy because I had much more to do here than I did for the spooky space. But again, I'm going to have to go down the horror road here, and I am going to do a buddy read this time to make sure that I actually do read it. I am going to pick up You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight by Kaylin Byron. I'm going to be reading this with Margaret from the Word Nerd and Jess from the Hex Library, and all three of us just sounded like it was going to be something that would be really intriguing to us. I think it is set in a fairground, and I am so intrigued to see what it's going to be like. It's also a YA horror, which I feel is a really good kind of stepping stone for me. It's not probably going to be too graphic, it's probably not going to be super gory, but it's just going to have that level of unease and eeriness that I think needs to be in a horror book anyway. And so, hopefully for the final time, roll 2 dice.
I rolled 2 6-sided dice and got 4 and 4.
I absolutely jinxed that one. So 8, first of all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Randomize my TBR. Now, I had really hoped that that would be it, but the Spookopoly god said, ha, bet, and gave me yet another doubles route. So I rolled an 8 here, and I brought it up to randomize your TBR. I think what I'm going to do here is I am going to read the 27th book on my TBR. I was born on the 27th of June, so I just feel like getting the number of my birthday and bringing it into this just feels like a bit of a serendipitous way to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through my physical TBR and find the 27th book on there. That's what I'm going to be reading. There she is, my physical TBR. Written out as of the 26th of June 2023. As I read a book or as I unhaul it, it is taken off and crossed out. So let's count it down and let's get to the 27th book on the list and see what it is that I'm going to be reading. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10... 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. For book 7, roll 2 dice.
I rolled 2 6-sided dice and got 1 and 5.
So 6. 6. Passed. My final roll was a 6, which took me up to the past space. When I had initially seen these, I thought it was a book set in the past, a book set in present day, or a book set in the future. But I much prefer what Becca has done with this. So for a past book, you have to read a book that was previously on a TBR or that you wanted to read previously. In September, the B&K Book Club with Brittany from Brittany Loves Reading and Kelsea from Reads with Kelsea had put The Midnight Feast by Lucy Foley on their sites. And I really wanted to get to it in September and to read it with them, but I just never got around to it. My dad also has a copy of The Midnight Feast and he has been raving about it to me every time he picks up the phone. So I am hopeful that I'm going to get to it in October and that I'm going to have just as good a time with it as he did. So that's one readathon discussed, but I am not done yet. I am also going to take part in the TBR Harvestathon, which is run by Leandra from the TBR Zero, and I'm going to go with the trick-or-treat route. There are 3 different ways that you can do this. You have to escape the corn maze, you have to escape a haunted house, or you go trick-or-treating around the place. One of my best childhood memories is myself and all of my cousins rammed into the back of a van, all totally okay. My other cousin was driving the van, and we would go around to the houses in our locality and go up to the doors with our little buckets for sweets or for money or for fruit or whatever the houses had. So I felt like there was nothing better for me to do than to go around trick-or-treating and to pick up as many sweet treats as I could. I know that for this one, you can try and do 1 book per prompt, but if I did that, combined with Spookoplathon and then combined with Fablen on top of it, I'm going to be reading every single hour that I'm awake in October, and I just do not have the time for that. So I'm going to try and take off as many prompts as I can with as few books as possible. The first book that I'm going to use for this board is The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. I've seen some kind of mixed reviews about this one. I know a couple of people who've really loved it. I know a couple of people who've been kind of off about it. It's kind of Gilmore Girls inspired. It's got that grumpy sunshine romance that Lorelai and Luke have. It's got a really small town setting. It's got a cafe as one of the focal points of the book. And I'm intrigued. I know that a lot of people haven't had a great time with it. I know that a lot of other people have had a really good time with it. And I just want to see where on the scale I fall. I have got the entire list of prompts out here in front of me, so I'm going to try and read off all of the ones that I'm going to try and tick off with the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. It's going to go for hot drink on the cover. It's going to go for TBR backlist because it was published in 2023. It's definitely going to fit in for a cozy book. It also has a tiny little cat on the cover, so that kind of counts. As the book is called The Pumpkin Spice Cafe, you can definitely tell that there's going to be a pumpkin on the cover. And I think there's actually like 3 or 4 different pumpkins on there. And it also has a grumpy character. So that's 5 or 6 of the prompts already ticked off with just 1 book. Another one I'm going to try and use for the Trick or Treat TBR is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I have had my sights on this book for such a long time, and anybody that I know who's read it has had a phenomenal time with it. October is the perfect time to read some witchy romances, and this one is definitely calling out to me. Obviously, this book has got witchy vibes. It's also got a romantic subplot and a supernatural vibe to it. But one of the biggest things about this book is that it has a great found family feeling to it. Riley Sager's Middle of the Night is also going to fit into 2 of these prompts. It is a mysterious book and it is a 2024 release. There's one other book that is definitely going to fit in already, and that is And Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. I've read a Lisa Jewell book already and I completely fell in love with it, but some people have told me this is the best one that you had started with, and then it's all going to go downhill from there. But I'm really excited to see what other books she's got out there. And she's a repeat author, which is one of the Trick or Treat prompts. So hopefully Lisa Jewell isn't going to let me down. As for Fablen, who knows what we're going to be doing. All of these prompts are going to be released at random points throughout the month, so I have no idea what I'm going to be reading for any of them on any specific day. So I am just going to be super hopeful that any of the books that I've put on this TBR already are just going to magically fit in with any of the Fablen prompts. Hopefully I can double up a little bit, but I have also got a couple that are on my sites for October that might just get me through. I definitely want to read A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon by Sarah Hawley. It has that kind of witchy romance vibe that I'm definitely looking for in October, and I'm hoping that because it's got a mainly yellow cover, it's going to give the team a little bit of a boost as well. I'd also really love to reread The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. I completely fell in love with this book when I read it back in 2022, but I'm kind of iffy on what's actually been happening. So hopefully across October, it's going to fit into one of the Fablen prompts and I can just curl up with it. There is a stack of the books that I would love to read across October and all of the readathons that I'm going to be taking part in that will hopefully help me out a little bit. What readathons are you taking part in October, and is there any book that you're particularly looking forward to? If you would love to leave me a comment but you can't think of anything you'd like to say, then just leave me a ghost emoji. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I have new videos up every week. Now, get on out of here.